So today, in a look at fragging this red Cynarina, and a lot of you might raise your eyebrows and go, wait, you can't frag that, but they frag it up pretty well, but again, it's all about the aftercare. The fragging itself doesn't really matter. You can throw them against a wall and shatter them into pieces. Corals are really quite resilient, and the only thing that really differs with a lot of coral fragging is the aftercare. So today I'm going to frag it up. I got a few green Cynarina as well, but I'll do it on this one, and I'll put that back down there, and I'll show you. These are some frags of Cynarina that have been done not so long ago, and it's actually forming a new little bubble there on the side. So this one will end up being a double header down the track, but it's completely healed the mouth. I think this was maybe a month ago that was fragged. So the mouth is completely healed. That little tiny bubble is going to turn into another Cynarina, which I'll be able to halve and pretty much double up on that. Put that one back there to show you this one. This one is a few months old, and it was done exactly the same. And it was on that frag tile just like the other one before, but I've put it on one of our cement boots. It has healed up completely. It is just now a miniature version of the other one. So I've got quite a few of these around now, and they're all going to be grown out as mother colonies, because while red Cynarina is they're a great little aquarium coral, there isn't too many of them around on the ocean or in the ocean compared to other colors. So I like to favor the better colors if I'm doing any fragging. So yeah, that's a great example of what they turn out like, and with the right aftercare you can end up with that. So I'll go cut that other one up now. Alright, so I've got these Cynarina over here, and I'm about to cut it up. And as always, first of all, I've got some salt water in the reservoir there, and I add the Coral Essentials Reef KI3, which is an iodine based coral dip, and there's I'll add that at around about a rate of 2 mils per litre, and this is just to help prevent any possible infections that might come up from cutting. So add that into the water reservoir there. You can use any iodine based dip, but yeah, we use basically everything Coral Essentials here. We want to give the frags or the corals every fighting chance they have once they're cut. So a little bit of iodine never goes astray. Okay, so we have ready to cut here, and before I start, I'm going to say, as much as I said before, you can throw these things at a wall, or corals in general, to frag them up. You probably shouldn't, but you can. Basically, you can fracture them however you like, the skeleton. That could be throwing at a wall if you want. But as long as you don't rip the flesh, and if you've got a crack here, don't rip it apart, crack it, then cut the flesh. So when I'm cutting this, if I see any straggly bits, I'm not going to rip the parts away. I'm gonna gently cut it. So I have a brand new scalpel blade on there. I change that blade 10 times a day, always fresh, always clean, always sharp. And I change it between species as well. So let's get started cutting that. And again, the cutting is the simple part. You don't need to go through the mouth, as you'll see soon, because there's going to be a lot more than 2 frags. try something new today as well. There's living tissue in that. I'd usually discard this, but I'm going to keep that and see if I can get another little bubble to form, just like on that other larger one, the grown out frag that I had over there that I showed you earlier. That may form a bubble. I like to remove as much of the excess or already dead tissue. It just makes for a more attractive looking frag. And they are, because of the healing process and how they require the food, it is quite likely you're going to lose a lot of these frags. But with some practice, you lose less and less each time. Alright, so that's what I've ended up with there. I've got that potential one, which is going to be interesting because it's got a lot of living tissue down in here. There's a lot of gut and stomach that I can see, mesocentral filaments down in there. So there's, what do we end up with? 8 all up, or 7 all up, and 1 potential. So I will show you what I do with those to glue them down. It's pretty simple again, just gluing them down, but I will go through that with you. And then I'll run through what we do for aftercare. I didn't need to use a blade today because the polyps were quite retracted, which is good, it's what we want. So alright, so I'll glue them down and then I'll go through the rest of the steps. Okay, to glue them down, we've got these pre-soaked frag tiles here, just a ceramic disc. They've got a nice texture on them. Soak them in water so that the water goes right down inside the plug, and then when you put the glue on it, the air bubbles that were, because they're porous, there was air bubbles in there. When you put them in water with glue on top, the air bubbles come out and they get inside the glue and it looks gross. Can also make the frag lift off, so I always just soak them, pat them dry, and then they're ready to go. Putting a small amount of glue on each one. Again, my favorite glue here, ME Coral Gel, and then the easy part of got them just sitting in a tub of water, and give them a bit of a rinse off. A lot of slime on there, as you can see, all that. So we get rid of all of that slime. Pat the base dry. Just make sure. Yep, pat the base dry there. And then sit that on as easy as that. And repeat that again. This time I'm going to glue it the outside down because the base will be a bit tall, so I'm going to glue what was the outside on that. And that's ready to go there. So that's as simple it is gluing them down. Alright, so we've ended up with an extra one there. I must have miscounted 4, but anyway, they're all done. Cool. The aftercare, which is the most important part from now on. So you have obliterated a coral that had a single mouth and a single digestive tract, and that was its main source of food. So each one of these does have like a little tiny bit of mouth remaining, or a little, or most of them will, a little bit of tissue that will reform that mouth. They can also reform the mouth from nothing if you just had a piece of polyp tissue from the outside, but it does take much longer. So I usually like to leave a little bit of mouth if possible, but it's not essential. So to get them through this stage, they need nutrition. LPS corals are heavily reliant on their nutrition, and these type of corals live in quite low light conditions and sediment rich areas, and the sediments that they live in are like food rich with phytoplankton and zooplankton and other larger particles again that constantly drift past in the wild and constantly feed them. So during this stage, when they have no mouth and no digestive tract, you're gonna have to feed them. So we use here is the Coral Essentials Grow and Amino, which is a vitamin and amino acids. So that works by direct absorption into the flesh, and that is their primary source of nutrition until that mouth regrows. So it's around about a month, maybe 6 weeks. I have to check the dates of that other frag one there where the mouth had completely reformed, and it's at that point that it can start taking food, and I can not rely so much on amino acid dosing. So in that time of amino acid dosing, which we dose aminos in the morning and the grow at night, they're all automatically dosed here. That's because the aminos are best taken up in the photo period, and the grow, which is vitamins, are best used at night when the coral tissue or skeleton grows. So it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks for that to heal, and in that 4 to 6 weeks we use slightly more vitamins and aminos just to get those guys through there. So the next thing is water quality. All corals need SPS water conditions, or you often hear that term thrown around about having SPS quality water. All corals live in the same water, so they need the same water that you would provide an acro or a Montipora. So if you're going to delve into fragging LPS, then be mindful that your tank needs to be in absolute tip-top shape. So I hope you found that helpful, and I'll try and do an update on these frags. I don't have much hope for that one or that one because they have not a lot of tissue, but these other 7 here should be pretty good in about 4 to 6 weeks time. Thank you for watching.